Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. We'll go on with chapter 10. Narayana said, now the seventh Manu is the Right Honorable His Excellency, the Lord Vishvata Manu Shraddha Deva, honored by all the kings, and the enjoyer of the highest bliss, Brahmanda. I will now speak of the seventh Manu. He too practiced austerities before the highest divine mother, and by her grace got to rule over all the world for one Manvantara. The eighth Manu is the sun's son, known as Savarni. This personage, a devotee of the Devi, honored by the kings, gentle, patient, and powerful, King Sarvani worshipped the Devi in his previous births, and by her boon became the lord of the Manvantara. Narada said, "O Bhagavan, how did this Sarvani Manu worship in previous births the earthen image of the Devi? Kindly describe this to me." Narayana said, "O Narada, this eighth Manu had been before in the time of Svarochisa Manu, the second Manu, a famous king known by the name of Sarata, born of the family of Chaitra and very powerful. He could well appreciate merits, clever in the science of archery, amassed abundant wealth, a generous donor, a very liberal man, and he was celebrated and honored by all. He was skilled in all arts of warfare with weapons and indomitable in crushing his foes. Once on a time, some of his powerful enemies destroyed the kingdom of Kala, belonging to the revered king, and succeeded in besieging his capital, wherein he remained. Then the king Sarata, the conqueror of all his foes, went out to fight with the enemies, but he was defeated by them. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the king's ministers robbed him of all his wealth. The illustrious king then went out of his city and with a sorrowful heart rode alone on his horse and walked to and fro as if absent-minded. The king then went to the hermitage of the Muni Sumita, who could see far-reaching things. It was a nice, quiet ashram surrounded by quiet and peaceful animals and filled with disciples. There, in that very sacred ashram, his heart became revealed, and he went on living there. One day, when the Muni finished his worship, the king went to him and saluted him duly and humbly, asked him the following: "O Muni, I am suffering terribly from my mental pain. O Deva on this earth, why I am suffering so much, though I know everything, as if I am quite an ignorant man. After my defeat from my enemies, why does my mind now become compassionate toward those who stole away my kingdom? O best of the knowers of the Vedas, what am I to do now? Where to go? How can I make myself happy? Please speak on this, O Muni. Now I am in want of your good grace." The Muni said, "O Lord of the earth, hear the extremely wonderful glories of the Divine Mother that have no equal and that can fructify all desires. She, the Mahamaya, who is all this world, is the mother of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara. O king, know verily that it is she, and she alone, that can forcibly attract the hearts of the jivas and throw them in utter delusion. She is always the creatrix, preservatrix, and the destructress of the universe in the form of Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. The Mahamaya fulfills the desires of all the jivas, and she is known as the insurmountable Kalaratri. She is Kali, the destructress of all this universe, and she is Kamala, residing in the lotus. Know that this whole world rests on her, and it will become dissolved in her. She is therefore the highest and best, O king. Know verily that he alone can cross the delusion, Moa, on whom the grace of the Devi falls. Otherwise, no one can escape from this great Mahamaya. Here ends the 10th chapter of the 10th book on the anecdote of the king Saratha in the Mahapurana Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Vedavyasa. We'll go on with chapter 11. The king Saratha spoke, "O best of the twice-born, who is this Devi that you speak just now about? Why the Devi deludes all these beings? What for does she do so? Whence is the Devi born? What is her form? And what are her qualities, O Brahman? Kindly describe all this to me." The Muni spoke, "O king, I will now describe the nature of the Devi Bhagavati and her forms in due time. Listen. In ancient days, when Bhagavan Vishnu, the king of the yogis, was lying in deep sleep on the ocean of the bed of Ananta, after he had destroyed the universe, there came out of the wax of his ears the two demons, Madhu and Kataiba, of monstrous appearance. They wanted to kill Brahma, who is lying on the lotus coming out of the navel of Vishnu. Seeing the two demons, Madhu and Kataiba, and seeing also Vishnu asleep, the lotus-born Brahma became very anxious and thought, now the Vishnu is asleep and these two indomitable demons are ready to kill me. Now what am I to do? Where to go? How shall I get ease? O child, thus thinking, the high-souled lotus-born Brahma suddenly came to a practical conclusion. He said, "Let me now take the refuge of the goddess of sleep, Nidra, the mother of all, and under whose power Vishnu is now asleep." Brahma then began to praise her thus, "O Devi of the Devas, O upholder of the world, thou grantest desires of thy devotees. O thou auspicious, thou art Parabrahma. By thy command all are doing respectively their works in their proper sphere. Thou art the night of destruction, Kalaratri. Thou art the great night, Maharatri. Thou art omnipresent, omniscient, and of the nature of the supreme bliss. Thou art highly worshipped. Thou art alone in this world as highly intoxicated. Thou art submissive to bhakti only. Thou art the best of all the things. Thou art sung as the highest. Thou art modesty. Thou art nourishment. Thou art forgiveness. Thou art beauty. Thou art the embodiment of mercy. Thou art liked by all. Thou art adorned by the whole world. Thou art of the nature of wakefulness, dream, and deep sleep. Thou art the highest. Thou art alone highest Devi. Thou art highly attached to the supreme bliss. There is no other thing than thee. There is one only, and that is thee. Hence thou art denominated as one. Thou becomest again the two by contact with thy Maya. Thou art the refuge of Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Hence thou art the three. Thou art the fourth state of consciousness. Hence thou art fourth. Thou art the god of the 5 elements. Hence thou art 5. Thou presides over the 6 passions, Kama, anger, etc. Hence thou art 6. Thou art residing over the 7 days of the week, and thou grantest boons 7 by 7. Hence thou art 7. Thou art the god of the 8 vasus. Hence thou art 8. Thou art full of the 9 rajas and 9 parts, and thou art the goddess of the 9 planets. Hence thou art 9. Thou pervades the 10 quarters, and thou art worshipped by the 10 quarters. Hence thou art named the 10th. 10. Thou art served by 11 Rudras, the goddess of 11 Ganas, and thou art fond of Ekadasi Tirthi. Hence thou art denominated as 11. Thou art 12 armed, and the mother of the 12 Adityas. Hence thou art 12. Thou art dear to the 13 Ganas. Thou art the presiding deity of Devasa, and thou art the 13 months, including the malas masa. Hence thou art 13. Thou didst grant boons to the 14 Indras, and thou givest birth to the 14 manas. Hence thou art 14. Thou art knowledgeable by the Panchadasi. Thou art 16-armed, and on the forehead you have 16 digits of the moon are always shining. Thou art the 16th digit ray of the moon, named Amma. Hence thou art 16. O Devasi, thou, though attributeless and formless, apparent in these forms and attributes, thou hast now enveloped the Moha and darkness, the Lord of Rama, the Bhagavan, the Deva, of the Devas. These demons, Madhu and Kataiba, are indomitable and very powerful, so to kill them, thou better dost awake Vishnu. The Muni said, thus praised by the lotus-born, the Tamasi Bhagavati, the goddess of sleep, the beloved of Bhagavan, left Vishnu and enchanted the two demons. On being awakened, the supreme Vishnu, the Devas saw the two demons, though two monstrous demons, beholding Vishnu, came up before him, ready to fight. Hand-in-hand fight lasted between them for 1,000 years. Then the two demons, maddened by their great strength, were enchanted by Mahamaya of the Bhagavati, the Divine Mother, and told the Supreme Deity, Vishnu, O Vishnu, ask a boon from us. Hearing this, Vishnu asked the boon that both of them would be killed that day by him. Those two very powerful demons spoke to Vishnu, said, very well, kill us on a part of the earth which is not underwater. O king, Bhagavan Vishnu, the holder of the conch and club, spoke, all right indeed, let that be so. Saying this, he placed their heads on his thigh, which he made very big, and severed them both with his disc. O king, thus Mahakali, the queen of the yogas, arose on this occasion when the praise was offered her by Brahma. O king, now I will describe another account how this Mahalakshmi appeared on another occasion. Listen. Here ends the 11th chapter on the 10th book on the killing of Madhu and Kataiba in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.